clock on the money, on time. I told you it'd take like 2 seconds to set up, didn't I?
It was pretty quick.
Yeah, this app makes things really easy. We are live. We'll let everybody kind of file in here a little bit. Hanging out with my guy Ross. So you said you were going to grab one of those Sonics, though?
Yeah, I'm gonna try that Sonic Plus. I mean, part of me wants to get it just because it's a one piece, and then we've got the Genesis releasing in April, and that's a
Yeah.
one piece. So I kind of want to see, if that Genesis is something that I might be into, then I want to have something that I can BP that's similar to it. That's what I mean. You're probably like me, and most people like. I try to swing something very similar in BP that I swing in a game. I don't try to swing my game bats. So, I mean, I know it's a lot easier said than done when you have 15 bats at your disposal rather than having some people can only afford one or two, which
Right.
whatever, and if that's the case, then you find a way to get yourself a wood bat. Or my biggest thing, man, is get like an old tech bat. Some of those the Synergy 2s, the Synergy Pluses. I mean, any of those stuff that's going to last forever.
Absolutely.
The Louisville's got the old like the Kenningtons, and like you just told me about the Sonic Plus, and so
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things. Like I really like. I don't necessarily get drove nuts by the questions, but man, it's like everybody's. Oh, this bat fails in 200 swings. They need to make a better product. No, it's as easy as going out and buying a different bat.
yeah, I think
Buying a cheap
my
turd to beat
biggest
on.
issue, my biggest issue is that is, I mean, it's I think that's just kind of the mentality nowadays is nobody wants to truly put in a ton of work. They kind of want the quick and easy fix. Everybody wants to lose 20 pounds in a week. They don't want to diet for eight weeks. They want it now.
Right.
And it's kind of made its way over into slow pitch. Everybody wants a super hot bat right off the start, and then you turn around and a week later your bat's failing.
Sure.
I mean back in the day, I mean when I broke in, we were swinging. Well, that was 2003, four, somewhere in there. I think the big bat at the time for me, my first slow pitch home run was with a DeMarini B52, so that ages me a little bit. It was a 30 ounce. I would never in my life swing a 30-ounce bat ever again. Um, but those were the bats at the time, and then the next year is when they released. Easton came out with Synergy 2, Synergy Plus. Worth released the Mayhem, the Green Mayhem. Then they had the Jeff Hall Mayhem and all that. And that's when the composite just took off, man. The
Sure.
composite was crazy. I never did get a chance to swing an Ultra 2 before they banned it in the original Ultra.
Uh huh.
But those were some of the first bats too, and man, people were just hitting creatures with those things.
Yeah, and
Man, it
see,
was
like
stupid.
ASA being real big around here, it was one of those things too, where like you hit ultras and blue dots. This is what you did every weekend,
Yep.
and it's insane to think
Yep.
now we're hitting, U-trip bats and dumbed down roll up socks when it gets hot outside.
Yeah, those 44, what are they, 47, 525 blue dots, man. They were heavy. They flew forever.
Oh my gosh, dude! And then the fact that, like you said, you hitting them with something like an ultra on top of that. That was back when, like you said, the ultra was still legal.
Right. Had an ASA stamp. Ultra 2 had an ASA stamp
Sure.
on it.
Yeah, and even some
That's,
of the old older Mike and Freaks still had the ASA stamps on those, and then they got rid of that
yeah.
too and came out with the Freak 98.
Yeah, that was a good bat too, though. All those old tech bats, man. People that are just kind of getting in the game don't realize how good you had to put in the work, though.
Oh yeah,
Those are bats where you had to take 1,000 swings for the bat to get hot. Now, when it got hot, it was a lightning rod, but you had to put in the work to do it.
sure. I picked up a Freak 98 at Played Against Sports for dirt cheap back early in the winter. And we went out put a little BP on it, and Brian says, "Oh, this thing ain't bad. It's better than I thought it'd be." Blah blah blah. And I said, "You may be surprised. You was thinking, it might test at like 240, something like that." No, dude, because it looks like it's been through hell and back, and it looks like it tests at like 240 just based on the looks. But dude's still testing over 300,
Oh man,
and we've been beating the
that's
brains out of that
crazy.
thing. But if somebody had the time to put into it, it'd be a great bat.
I
But
still got that. Did I send you that picture? No, I don't think I did. Justin had my original Boomba that I had with Boomba when I started with Boomba.
uh huh,
The one that I put maybe 5 to 6,000 swings on, and I swung it all year, all BP sessions, every game. I took it to World that year, 2014. I took it to World in 2014, put it on the tester. They didn't test, but we tested our bats after the fact, and it was 245, I think. And the tester looked at me and says, "Does your wife swing your bat?" And I was like, "Damn, dude." I'm like, "That's brutal, bro." And he was like,
"Ouch."
Because I told him, I said, "I don't know if this thing's gonna pass, man. I put like 10,000 swings on this thing," and he put it on a tester and cranked it, and he was like, 245, and I was like, "Oh, okay." He was like, "Yeah." Said that to me about my wife, and my buddy Wilkins was standing next to me, dying laughing. I'm like, "Man, that's brutal,
Sure. Man, what a dog move, though. Throwing you under the
dude."
bus like that?
They had some wonder sticks down there that year. There was a team that had that. It was like gray and teal, like it was an Easton, not the. It's kind of a long barrel, like it's not the Helmer, but it was a long barrel Helmer or whatever it was. I can't remember what they were
the black
called.
flex or whatever it was.
Yeah, I don't know. It was gray and teal, the writing or whatever.
Gray and teal. Oh no, that was
yeah,
wasn't that the
the
ST100?
same year. Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
The ST100. There was a guy that had one that, from looking at it visually, there was no cracks in the barrel, and it had tested at 140.
Oof. Good
Yeah.
Lord.
Well, apparently they pulled it because the dude hit they kept passing it down, and the teams had hit like 6 or 7 balls that were like just through the infield. They were uncatchable, and there was a bunch of bitching back and forth that this bat needed to be pulled and whatever. Well, finally the director's like, "All right, pulled." He's like, "If it passes, you can have it back." Then it was 140. I'm like, "Oh my god, dude!" I'm like, "Man, I guess if you're gonna spin them down, you spin them down real good." I don't know.
Right. See, that's a crazy thing though. Is who knows what was going on with the bat testing that low, but even bats that were still broke in. It's crazy. You could put 2,000 swings on them; they'd last another 2,000 testing in the 190s. But that's everybody's throwing.
That was the thing. I mean, you could.
Sorry, go ahead.
I lose you?
No, you there?
Yeah, you're cutting in.
I don't
know if it's me or you. Hang on.
I don't know.
It's not me. I don't know.
About me milking some Wi-Fi.
Yeah, you could. I mean, you could get into those old bats, man. That's the thing. Those dudes were spinning those bats, and then they would still pass. They'd still pass forever. So.
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. You getting bats that test down into like the 190s and they stay there, and then people throw a fit about this new stamp stuff. I mean, there's a reason for it. It's not because necessarily 220 is too hot. It's bats getting there and then just getting way too hot, way too fast. It's just a different day and age, man.
I think it's weird as a lot of these bats. The way it was originally drawn up and told to me is that your bat, once it got to 220 or failing or whatever, that it would break down. That it would break. That it wouldn't go any further than that.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's so many of these bats now where you throw them on a tester and they're 180, 170, and you look at them, there's no cracks in them. They look fine.
No, and I'll be transparent. I mean, I've got a couple in my bag that are in the 170s with hardly any work put into them at all. It's ridiculous. Right. I mean, it's sure I like swinging them, but at the same time, if you're looking from a safety perspective, that's absolutely why the stamp thing changed. And for a while there, when they did go to the new stamp, they were breaking shortly after they hit that level, but anymore they just don't. They just keep coming back for more.
Well, Worth had those ones early on. I remember that the barrel would like unravel. It's the way they were kind of how they were touting it, that the barrel, like the carbon fiber weave would start to come off the bat or whatever. And it didn't matter. I mean, that's how the Boomba bats were too at first. We had a little carbon fiber weave where the outside shell would break down, but the bat would still be good. And, I mean, as an umpire, if you see it, you should pull the bat, but most of those umpires never did anything.
We
put a little bit of spray. We put a little bit of spray tack on it and put a little bit of dirt and call it a day. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's good, man. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's a little dirty. Yeah.
Yeah, and they say that you can't have anything on the barrel or you can't have any rattles or anything like that. And how many of those bats sound like rain sticks and were covered in 3M spray? I mean,
dude, in 2015, that year when we were that conference team I was with, Compound Athletics, we finished the fifth at the major. I'll be honest, man. My Boomba, you couldn't even tell it was a Boomba. It had so much spray tack on it and dirt. It was ridiculous.
So
So
here's the question: do you think that makes a difference once it gets dirty? Of course, a fresh coat's going to be, pretty difference making. But you think once it gets a little dirt on it, you think it makes a difference, or were you always reapplying?
here was my thing with it, and the guy that told me about this is, for my money, probably one of the best hitters in the game. So Kyle Pearson, who I played with in 15,
Mm-hmm.
we were, he come over to us in June after the Maryland Major, and I saw him spraying his bats. I'm like, "What are you doing?" And he goes, honestly, he goes, I think they hold together a little longer, like as far as like not cracking. He goes, I feel like the glue holds the carbon fiber together slightly, to where you're not going to get as many cracks. Now, we had bats that were cracked, and we would still spray them with 3M, and we'd throw the dirt in them, and that way the umpires weren't as aware.
Sure.
And some of those bats, I mean, those Mikan bats back then, the Freak 12s, you could have a little hairline crack in those things, and you spray them things down, put a little dirt on it, and that thing's still going another 100. And I mean, you're talking a good 100 too. I mean, they're wonder sticks at that point.
See, I've always heard that theory, but I've never tested it or anything like that. I've heard guys saying that. I saw a guy one time. What is it, like Freak 30 crack maintenance? Like he put like clear nail polish over it, and then put a piece of packaging tape on it.
Yep.
Man, I don't know. That just seems like total like aluminum foil hat theory type shit. But
Yeah,
apparently it works.
Another guy that used to do that, where he would spray his barrel with 3M, and then he would, like for BP,
Mm-hmm.
he would take a BP bat and he would spray it with a 3M spray, and then he would wrap it in like packing tape and then use it for BP, and it would last. The bat would last. So, which, I mean, I guess that's one way to do it. I don't know exactly. It's kind of, like you said, it's kind of strange. I always thought the dudes were using the 3M spray for spin. Kind of like, when Mike and had they had the Freak ASP that had the sticky barrel, and the Mike and Patriot had the sticky barrel. Boomba kind of, messed around with that a little bit, to let you in on a secret with that, which Boomba doesn't make bats anymore, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
And I don't work there. I don't work there anymore either, so I don't care. But it's all just marketing. It was a marketing gimmick, because we took everything, like we could see the specs inside the tech center, and we could look at every ball that's hit, because we had a thing that would hit balls and do everything, and
Mm-hmm.
you could hit them at a certain angle and watch the spin. The tack on the barrel, the spray from the 3M on the barrel, we did all that. None of it made the ball spin any more than the normal swing. It just didn't. It's negligible. Like, there was a little bit there, but not enough for you to say, oh, well, I'm gonna spray my barrel down and it's gonna give me 10 extra feet. It's not. It's not. It's just not. So
Yeah.
now it's. I know they were a little bit more hard on that the last couple of years that I played at the upper level, where they wouldn't let you get complete. Like, I mean, 2015, dude, our bats it was crazy.
Really?
Oh my God. I honestly, I think I started out the year with like a 27-ounce bat and ended the year with a 34-ounce bat, because it had so much tack on it. You know what I mean?
Spray on it.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, you could take it off. You could use. One guy told me you could use carburetor, something. I don't remember, carburetor fluid, something. I don't know. I'm not an auto guy, so I'm not sure. But he said it would take the tack off. But
yeah, brake cleaner. Yeah.
But I'm like, I don't care about that. I don't care how dirty it gets. But my bats were definitely heavier at the end of the year than they were when I started.
Well, it is kind of funny. I had one of those old D2E Psychos, and I just for shits and grins, I took it and sprayed it down a little bit. Went to league that night and hit a couple absolute creatures, like balls I had no business hitting, but that bat's still alive somehow. But I was just hitting the hell out of the ball that night. But I made a joke that it was because I was spraying the bat. I hit another home run, and I'm coming back to the dugout and see like 3 guys sitting over there spraying bats.
Hey, whatever. I mean, it gives you a little mental edge.
Sure, placebo effect a little bit.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I was always told that, or taught, that you.
Sorry, guys.
You're good. That you look good, you feel good, you play good, and it's kind of the same way. There's times when you get in the box and you got a bat that you feel like you can't make it out with, and it gives you a little boost of confidence in the box for sure.
Sure.
You feel like no matter what, you're not going to make it out. So I can see that. Dudes spraying their barrels.
Sure, absolutely. And, like you said, it's placebo. It's all about what you're comfortable with. I mean, really, it don't matter. At the end of the day, you still got to use it, right?
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
So we've got on a little bit of tangent of rambling, which ain't a bad thing. But for those that don't know my guy, Ross, Ross, like you said earlier, played a little bit of b-ball back in the day, was teammates with Kyle Pearson back before he went big time. And the guy's always been hitting the hell out of the ball. But he and I got hooked up through Boombah, been together and hitting a little bit. You've seen him featured on the channel a few times here and there. Probably the got to be, hands down, the best hype man in BP in the Midwest for sure. The guy tosses a mean round of BP like nothing I've ever seen. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, I've thrown. God, honestly, I don't even know how many pitches I've thrown in BP over the last 17, 18 years or
Right.
whatever I've been playing.
You always end up being that one guy that can pitch at BP, so you end up throwing to everybody, right?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Yeah. Well, my old BP partner that I had for years, who's hands down, he's probably the best player I've ever seen, hitter wise. He's retired. He retired in 2011 after winning the A World. He made one out at A World on a Friday night.
Good Lord.
He would in BP. He just wouldn't swing at balls. If you threw a ball that wasn't a strike, he wouldn't fucking swing at it. So I'd sit there and throw 10 in a row, and he's like, "Those aren't strikes, bro." And I'm like, "Damn, man." I'm like, "Really?" I'm like, "All right." So I got to the point where I just found for me, when I throw BP, I take the same stance. I stay the exact same way. I always throw. For me, I'm not a big believer in that you need to hit knuckleballs in BP.
No.
I get you're going to see them in games, but I throw four-seam rollers, man. I want that ball to move as little as possible. I want you to get the best swing you can out of it. Nobody wants to go to BP, hit, leave, and feel like a turd. Everybody wants to go to BP. I want to go to BP. I want to hit semi-hard balls. I want my ego to feel good. I want to feel good. I don't want to leave there like, man, what did I just do? Did I just literally look at like about 80 pitches?
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
Don't get me wrong. That does happen to me now because one of my BP partners cannot throw strikes.
Not willing to out him here on the stream.
Orlando Oliveira is terrible at pitching.
Well, he can hit him, but he can't throw him, huh?
No, he can hit him a country mile. He just, man, he is. He's horrific, and I don't get it because it's literally short toss. The guy was a minor league baseball player with the Cardinals. I mean, he was a great baseball player by any means, but he can't throw short toss. He can't throw underhand. He'll throw one 15 feet, and then he'll throw 15 in a row that land 5 feet in front of the plate.
And for those that don't know, have never seen this guy, he is a physical specimen and a freak athlete. So it cracks me up so bad that he can't master the art of tossing a ball underhand. But boy, he sure can hit him. I'll give him credit for that all day long.
Well, he hit a few in the hit tracks last week. We were hitting the Lloyd and the Cuz in 2020s, and he had one that was 116 miles an hour exit speed, and it went 503 feet distance. That's where the classic hit ball.
Good God, I see. I can believe that. I mean, I've seen him that night at that all-nighter, man. He hit one ball, and I'm telling you, he was 2 steps out of the batter's box, and the left fielder was picking it up. It was a line drive, and it one hop to the left fielder. He was 2 steps out of the batter's box, and it was already to the left fielder. I mean, that is just insane.
Well, if he can figure out the strike zone, he'll be a big time player one day. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Hopefully, I'll be swinging his bat one day with his name on it.
Sure. We need to get him out to hit with us too, so YouTube can really get an idea of just what this dude can do to a ball.
And hopefully, he can pick his hand speed up on the camera. Good grief.
He's got to wear the white gloves and make him look that much faster too, right?
That's why I wear white gloves. It makes me look better, faster, everything.
You got to. I just kind of bought some white gloves one time. Just kind of like they were cheap. It's what I wanted. And I got to looking at the camera like, man, my hands look fast as hell wearing these white gloves. I think I'm just going to start rocking those from now on.
Yeah, again, going back to my buddy that got me into the game at the upper level, I'm not a superstitious person. I don't believe in any of that. But the two things I have to do is I have to have white tape on my bat, and I have to have white batting gloves. I won't do anything else. I won't. Man, if a company doesn't offer me white batting gloves, I'm going to be, I might have to go get Might have to go get me some custom ones made. But luckily, Louisville's got white batting gloves, and I can get all the white tape I need. So
Shit,
it's just I don't know, man. It was weird. I think my buddy always used to tell me, he's like, man, the white just looks better. It's cleaner. It's prettier. I don't
sure,
know.
absolutely.
It just stuck with me, you know.
So let's talk about that for a minute. What got you into like the slow pitch game? Who got obviously, getting to that level, but starting small. Like, would you somebody just drag you out of the house to go play one night?
Yeah, essentially, I was playing league, or I wasn't playing league. I was still playing baseball. I was still messing around, playing in what's a Montclair league over here. So it's kind of like a semi-pro, whatever you want to call that thing. I don't know what it is,
Yeah.
but I was playing that. I wasn't really doing anything else. I think I was going to college at the time, and a friend of mine, my roommate at the time, had he goes, "Hey man, we need you to come out for league tonight." And I'm like, "League?" He's like, "Yes, softball." And I'm like, "Nah, Brandon, that's for girls. I'm not playing that." And he's like, "Well," he's like, I might need you." And I'm like, "You don't need me. Trust me." So he later on that day, it was like 5 o'clock. They had like an 8:30 game. He's like, "Hey, we got 9 guys. I need you to come out." I'm like, all right. So I went out, and this is weird. So I went out, and I said, I told him, I said, "Bob, I haven't swung a bat since probably my sophomore year in high school.
Right,
I
because you
didn't
were a
hit.
pitcher, right?
It's a pitcher. Yeah, I was a pitcher. I never swung. I never did anything. Nothing. And I was right-handed my entire life. And he said, well, what are you going to do? I said, I think I'm going to hit left-handed and hit everything into the ground and beat it out, because at the time I was fast. I could always move. And so my first at bat, I remember my first at bat. It was a dribbler to the pitcher, I'm sure. But I'm sure I almost beat it out at first. I had that kind of speed where if I hit something soft on the ground in the infield, I could pretty much beat it out to first. And my first ball the guy hit to me in right was like a one hopper, and the guy tried to go first or third on me, and I threw him out at third by about 40 feet with an absolute freaking laser across the diamond when I had a good arm. And I was like, man, this is pretty fun. This ain't bad, you know. I'm like, man, people gonna keep trying to run on me, and and then like I said, like he got me into that, and then I kind of got hooked, and then I hit my first, like I said, I hit my first home run with that DeMarini B52, and I was sold. I'm like, oh, I can hit home runs. I'm like, man, because honestly, I mean, I can, obviously I probably hit home runs when I was a kid, little league, like little, but I never hit a home run at the junior high level, the high school level, the college level. I was a terrible hitter, horrible. So, I hit a home run at slow pitch, and I thought I was the king of the world.
Sure.
So,
and from there it just evolved into making it to that upper level, huh?
yeah, it was weird, man. I played with my buddy Bob Dugan, who's a great dude, man. I still play league with him every year. He's the most competitive player I've ever played at any level. This dude he refuses to lose. It's just who he is. But I played league with him, and then they played on a tournament team at the time, the Warriors, and I played one year with them, and then we morphed that team into the Outlaws. Played Outlaws. We played like UEEE and NSAE and all that. And, I was kind of fine with playing that. I really had no aspirations to ever play high level ball. And then in 2005, the major was at St. Louis. And me and a couple friends went over to the major in St. Louis, and I'm watching these guys play. Jeff Hall's out there, Tim Coco, J.C. Phelps.
Oh, the OGs.
You're talking, yeah, the OGs. You're talking, dude. This is in '05. You're talking. This is like the first year that like Wegman's really kind of on the scene as like a stud. B.J. Falk, Wegman, B.J. Falk, Denny Crine, Matt King, Shane Hatfield, Billy Messina. Who else was on it? That was, and my buddy Wayne Havermill were all on the same freaking A team, and these dudes were like they were at BMAC hitting it over the white wall over there. You know what I mean?
Good
just hitting
Lord.
they're just hitting 450-foot tanks. So I'm like, I don't know if I want to play at this level. You know what I mean? For one, I never thought I could. Like, I didn't think I was capable of being at that level watching these guys. But from there, I kind of developed a relationship with Wayne, and we got to being buddies. And he took me under his wing, and I became his BP partner for the next, from 2006 until 2012. I mean, it was just me and him. You know what I mean? I
Sure.
mean, you're talking every day, man. This dude was like relentless, man. He's an iron worker. He'd be working he could be doing welding in a grain silo. Could be 200 degrees in there and whatever. And this dude would get off. He would come for BP. It'd be 100 degrees here in St. Louis. This man would hit BP and then go to the gym. And I'm like,
Golly.
how does this guy find the energy to do this? But he just kind of instilled it in me where you have to outwork everybody.
Sure.
Like you can't say you're going to do the work and then, expect the results. You have to do it. And I mean, we weren't the people that sit there and hit till your hands bleed. We would take a good, constructive 100, 125 swings every day. You work on different things, whatever. But I mean, these are the days him and I used to hit, and this man we didn't have a screen at the time.
Ooh.
And, Wayne's a big dude. You're talking 5'9", 245 pounds of just looks like a Greek god. And I mean, the man, dude, he's hitting 500-foot home runs at BP. Well, he'd be like, "Hey, I'm gonna work on backside. I need you to flip. I need you to flip it. I need you to flip it outside." And I'm like, "Okay." So I'd flip him outside, and he'd flip him backside. And then I'm not kidding, dude. He would go, "I'm gonna go bare hand for a few," and I'm like, I'm gonna go glove side for a few, and I'm like, "Okay." This dude would hit balls like 110 miles an hour that are less than 3 feet away from me.
No way. No thanks.
Just scuds, dude. And then he'd go, "All right, I'm going to go bare hand," and then he'd hit some bare hand, and then he would pull. But it was a few years into it. He was going to go either bare hand or glove side, and he hit an absolute scud at me. And luckily I had the ball bag in front of me at my feet, and it hit the ball bag.
Ooh.
And he was like, "All right, we're getting the net."
Took that long, huh?
No, man, but to be that gifted to be able to put it wherever you wanted to put it every time, like to me that was astonishing. Like I mean, even now I'm not that good, and this guy, I mean, he was doing it religiously at BP all the time.
The placement hitters always blow my mind. Like I've played nothing but ASA pretty much my entire life. I've really kind of gotten in more into the U trip and NSA here in these last couple years. And even in ASA, I've never been a big control guy anyway. But in ASA, you just don't realize how easy it is to place the ball, and then you come somewhere playing U-Trip against a flatter pitch, especially an umpire that's letting damn near some fast pitch stuff go in, and you've still got guys that can pick a blade of grass and just hit it every time. Like it's just ridiculous to me, the amount of control that some people can have with it. Just comes natural to some people. It makes me kind of jealous, but it's crazy to watch. It really is. Somebody with good bat control to just work the ball around the field.
Well, he's another anomaly too. He didn't. He stopped playing baseball in 7th grade. So he was a football player, and then he just happened to luck into playing softball. And obviously he's got the natural ability; you can see it in the hands and everything else. But it also helps when you're a freaking monster.
Sure. I've we were talking. I think last time we hit, we were talking about how pitchers make good hitters and that kind of thing. I think that kind of goes true for to an extent. Obviously, someone's going to be a good athlete; they're going to be one no matter what. But maybe somebody that doesn't have a ton of baseball background getting into slow pitch because, you don't have some of those baseball habits you got to get rid of in order to be a good slow pitch hitter. You can learn the slow pitch swing and kind of run with it from there.
Absolutely. I think that's kind of one of the things that maybe benefited me is I didn't really, not only did I go from right-handed to left, but I didn't really necessarily have any bad habits. Because the baseball swing is totally different than a softball swing. I think it is.
I agree. Absolutely. To an extent, like you said, a good athlete, somebody with a good explosive baseball swing, sure, they're going to hit a slow pitch ball well because they've got a good explosive swing. But teach someone, kind of a few more of the techniques and things like that that can go into a slow pitch swing, and they'll become that much better of a hitter.
Oh, the first time we took Orlando out for BP was probably one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I mean, the guy was like just home from minor league ball, just got cut. Took him out, and he hit every ball 100 feet that went 400 feet straight up in the air. They went 100 feet. They went 100 feet distance, but they went 400 feet straight up. And he just could not figure it out. Just could not. And he was getting frustrated and mad, but he figured it out. He's got it quite figured out a little bit. Now, like I said, he just got to figure out the strike zone and he'll be all right.
Yeah, it's one of those things. And again, when you're that good of an athlete too, you feel like you can hit everything. If you can reach it, you can put a good swing on it. Probably because he can. But one thing that kind of resonated with me, you mentioned in BP one time, was you'll never get yourself out swinging at strikes. So that's just something. That's something he needs to maybe adjust to, and it's something I have a bad tendency to do as well.
Well, I feel like it sounds stupid and simple and easy to do, but like I said, I learned that from Wayne. I learned that from watching. Honestly, the guy for me, 3 guys in the conference that stand out to me that don't swing at balls: John Williams, Flip Washington, and Brian Wegman. Those, and honestly, all 3 of those guys will get rung up through the year looking at strikes, strike 3, looking at, you know what I mean? My buddy always said that too. If you don't strike out looking at least once a year, you ain't selective enough.
Sure.
So, but my eyes gotten better over the years. I used to be kind of a wild swinger too. I'd get the old, get a strike on me, and then I'm like, I gotta put this in play. I gotta put this in play.
Yeah, I get myself in trouble with that a lot.
Last year I had a first of my career last year in slow pitch, which is kind of astonishing, figuring I played 18 years. It's the first time I've ever done it. I think we were at GSLB World in Columbus, and a guy threw a absolute cookie down the middle, and I swung and missed. And I'm not saying that I swung and missed bad. Like I missed this ball by a foot. And it was one of those where he threw it, and I was gonna go backside in my head right off the start, and then it was like kind of like maybe middle in, but it was a strike landing right behind the plate.
Yeah,
and I swung and missed. Like I wasn't even close. Of course,
just got too excited at the things you could have did with it. And
yeah, and then as soon as you swing and miss, the crowd, everybody's watching.
Sure.
They all start yelling, hooting, and hollering, or whatever. And I always make the joke that once you swing and miss, if the person swings and miss, they're going to hit 900. They lock in, and they are not making it out. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I swung and missed on the first pitch and drew a walk. So
you just stood there and waited for another good one, just sitting there waiting, huh?
Some guys can't do that. Like I'm to the point where I feel like I know the strike zone well enough that I know what's a strike and what's not a strike. And I just stood there, and this dude, I guess he was just trying to make too good of pitches to get me out, and he didn't. And I took a walk after swinging on the first pitch. And I ran to first base, and I was astonished that I just took a walk on swinging at the first pitch I missed.
And as a pitcher too, just in my experience as a pitcher, if somebody swings and misses, they're probably, for the next couple at least, they're not going to get anything close, because it's a pride thing. You swing and miss at the first one. It's easy to get an out from somebody. You just lay the next one up there. We got to prove yourself because you just damn near missed the last one. So you got to.
I missed bad, dude.
It's funny too. You mentioned you've got guys that can swing and miss and then be a 900 hitter afterwards. Probably one of my best friends, one of the guys that I came up playing slow pitch with. We used to go play in a tournament over the Mud Bash over in Springfield when it was a thing years ago, like in the fall. And we had no business being over there. We were like an E class team, playing basically a B team. I think it was some of the dirty money guys and some of like the precision guys. We had no business even being on the field with them. We just got a shit draw, and that's who we ended up with. My buddy swings and misses. I'm talking like not even close. And I told that guy, I was first base coach. I told that first baseman, he kind of chuckled a little bit. I said, just watch. Dude, he hit the next one. I'm talking maybe 6 feet off the ground and banged off that 315 fence at Chatham. And it got out there so fast, he couldn't even run to second base. He rounded first, realized the ball was coming back in, and just stood there at first, and he looked at my buddy, and he says, never in my life he goes, I've been playing upper ball for a long time. He goes, and never in my life have I seen someone swing and miss and then hit a ball like that. I said, well, you just don't know my friend Tony Wales then.
Yeah, man. Dude, you see stuff. I feel like I see stuff every weekend that I've never seen before in the game. You know what I mean?
Sure. So you talk about seeing stuff and in being there and doing that. What's been your favorite moment overall of like your slow pitch career so far?
I mean, honestly, I won a GSL World in 2014 with a group of guys that I played with for years, and it was good, and that was a lot of fun. But man, honestly, it's crazy as it sounds. There's a local tournament here that they're actually no longer going to do. The field got bought they're going to turn it into farmland.
Oh, damn.
But they're we won that tournament one year, and that same year, that league team that I played on in that tournament, we didn't lose a single game all year. We wound up
Wow.
going. It was crazy. We played in a couple tournaments, never lost a game, and then league. I think we were like, it was probably 40 plus and no, but it helped that we had a guy that pitched at the time that you just couldn't hit it past him. I mean, the dude didn't. And you're talking 2000. Well, I don't know, 7. Guys nobody wore masks then. Nobody wore leg pads.
Sure.
But this guy, man, I'd never seen a guy be able to backpedal and catch a ball backpedaling. Normally, when you're moving, you're toast. You
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
catch
absolutely.
nothing. And this guy could. I mean, it literally looked like he was running to second base, and he would catch balls that were going by him. It was crazy, man, and he definitely made a huge difference. Don't get me wrong. Our roster was fairly stacked, but we won that local tournament down there, man. And that local tournament, you're talking on a Friday night in a town of maybe 30 people. There might be a couple hundred people watching the game.
Holy cow.
Which is pretty crazy. I mean, there's dollar beers, so it gets a little crazy down there.
So people are out there drinking and watching. Somebody may not even be there for the softball. You're saying?
Well, what's cool about the tournament is it was in the middle of the cornfields, and you drive down these bluff roads back where I'm from. It's country roads, and you just all of a sudden you see lights in the middle of the cornfield. It's like you're at the Field of Dreams, man. And it was great, man. I loved playing down there. But they're actually moving it to another facility this year. I don't know how well it's going to be or how well it's going to go, but hopefully if I'm allowed to play in it, which that's a whole other story. I don't know, depending on what they set the rules at, but
we got roster limitations now, I guess.
Well, I mean, luckily this year, the team I'm with this year, we've actually been we were going to play a conference, but as far as had some funds issues, so we're actually going to stay B, but we're going to play like a Midwest Conference schedule.
Okay.
So that'll help me.
The Swing Kings, right?
No, that's who I was with last year. This year I'm with Evolution out of Chicago. So, but we're going to play all the Midwestern events. We've got a great team, a bunch of young dudes that are super hungry and competitive and want to play, and just I mean, I honestly this might be the best. This might be one of the best B teams in the country right now. I think I'm sure we got to add a few additions here and there, but for the most part, I think we're pretty good where we're at. So it helps that we've got the Cuban Missile there that's going to play with us this year, and my buddy Justin Bowman's going to play with us as well. And then there's some Chicagoland, there's some Iowa guys, there's some Wisconsin guys. But we look good right now, so we'll see. I mean, everything happens. It's freaking February, so
sure.
we still got a while. But
yeah, maybe I'll send a GoPro out with you sometime. Let you get some game footage. Yeah,
that'd be nice. That'd be fun. Yeah.
Let these guys check some of that out too. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
So you were talking about kind of like your favorite like non-conference tournament. You have a favorite conference tournament? That you usually like to attend when you were playing the conference. What was the best one?
My favorite conference tournament is definitely Cincinnati. For people that don't know, Cincinnati, there's 4 fields. In the middle of the fields, there is a 2-story bar. These fields are owned by Wegman and Helmer, I believe. I think Wegman might own them all now, but at one time Helmer helped him.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, it gets freaking rowdy, man. I mean, people are hammered on that second story of of that bar, and they are just laying into dudes. I remember guys just wearing Purcell out. And just wear, I mean, and then not guys that are playing. These are just local people just wearing people out. It's
Sure.
like anybody.
Get good and
But
sauced up and get
they
out there
have,
feeling bulletproof.
yeah, yeah, and it's just a great environment there, man. It's right on a river, so you kind of gets chilly at night. It's just great, dude. I love playing there. It's always a good time. I mean, I like going to the Smoky just because of the sheer amount of people there at the
Mm-hmm.
Smoky. I mean, you might have a few thousand people watching games at the. It's pretty crazy. Them games are long though. I mean, unlimited bombs. I think a few years ago, championship game was like 76 to 74. It's like a 3-hour
Oh,
game.
yeah, I remember that. Unlimited bombs on
Yeah,
what,
dude,
like
that's
basically
brutal, man.
330 fences, right?
Yeah, the one show field there is pretty big. I think it's like it might be like 365, 370 to center, or in the power alleys and stuff, and then it might be like 325, 330 in the gaps. But last year I think they used the Classic M on that field, but
Mm-hmm.
prior to that they were using a stadium on that field. So
Yeah, so
you know,
yeah, you talk about the Classic M, like they're going to the Pro M this year. Um, have you? I know you said you had a handful of the Pro M's. Like, what do you think about the
yeah,
Pro M versus the Classic M? Have you able to weigh in on that
we
yet?
we hit the Pro M at B World. The Pro M is uh, it's not affected by the heat quite as much.
Uh huh.
It's still pretty good in the heat. Whereas a Classic M, and if you hit 90 degrees with humidity, is doo doo.
Oh, it's miserable.
Um, but it's not really affected too much by the cold either. I don't know exactly what the compression is on that, the specs. If I had to guess, I'd say they probably went to like it's probably still a 325 as far as the pounds, and then
Mm-hmm.
I'd guess the core is probably higher, like maybe a 44 core
Yeah.
as opposed to a 40, maybe making it a little bit more bouncy. And it feels a little bit more bouncy when you hit it. It's kind of got the feel on your bat as closer to a 52 300.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite that soft, but right there. I bet it's close to that. Once they release the specs, which I don't know if they will, my guess is it's somewhere in like the 44 to 47 core, but I think it's probably 325 still on the pounds.
Yeah, as I've heard, I've heard that like you said, they left the compression the same and just raised the core. I've heard 44 375, but either way, just something that's going to hold up in the heat better is going to be so much better.
Yeah, I do, man. I kind of go back and forth though, man. That Classic M is so good in temperatures below 70 degrees, man.
Oh yeah, I mean,
It's so fun to hit, man.
hell, even
So
80 85 degrees if it's not wicked humid. Yeah, I mean they're a
true.
blast to hit, but when it gets hot and humid outside, I mean people call me crazy and hang up on me right now, but I'd rather hit a 50 in 95-degree weather, humid as hell. I'd rather hit a 52 because I know I can spin it. Like
Well,
they
52,
sound awful, but they still spin.
52 is gonna go. It does sound awful. I just don't like you don't get any response out of your bat. I hate that feeling of I want to feel my bat compress, but I mean I'm from the days when the balls used to compress your bats a lot more than they do now.
Right.
So
Yeah, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because I'm right there with you as far as like I like a little bit of feedback, not too much, but it's one of those things. It's a preference thing,
right, for
especially
sure.
like we were talking when we started. When you come from swinging ultras and blue dots. I mean, who the hell wants to hit a 52?
True, true.
What let's see, what else we got here. I mean, you said something earlier. I can't remember what it was. Gosh,
I said a lot of stuff. Who knows?
Yeah, well, yeah. No doubt about that. Let's see. What about so like you're grinding. Things are kind of going bad. You may be slumping at the plate. Maybe have a bad tournament or two. Like, what do you do to kind of keep yourself motivated? Do you go out and hit? Do you maybe take a break from hitting, or do you just swing
Um,
until it feels right again?
I'm not a huge fan of taking breaks. That's not my mentality as far as like taking BP.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm in a funk, and don't get me wrong, I've been in plenty of funks. Last year I felt like I couldn't hit the ball out of the infield at one tournament. It was miserable. Um, when I'm going bad, my problem is I can't get any elevation on my ball. I'm hitting everything on the ground, which is fine if I'm hitting the right hole. but most of the time I'm not. I'm hitting it right at people.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to get out and work it out, man. I mean, if I'm having an issue whether it be seeing the ball or timing, I want to work. I want to work through it rather than give myself a break. I feel if I give myself a break, it's just going to get weird. And I'm one of those people where I have to BP to be good, probably because I wasn't a good hitter. Like when my first couple swings in the winter in BP inside are atrocious.
So yeah, what made you go from, you mentioned that's what it was. You mentioned that earlier, going from being right-handed all your life to just up and deciding to hit left-handed once you started playing slow pitch.
Well, it was mainly because I never was really comfortable with my right-handed swing. Probably because I probably screwed up and should have been a left-handed hitter my entire life. My dad's a left-handed hitter. It was probably just something that was when I was a kid. I probably put the bat in my hand like I was right-handed. But I used to screw around as a kid. I used to live. There was a ball field right behind my house, and I had a couple of friends where we would go down there and hit. And my favorite player growing up, like most people my age, was Ken Griffey Jr. And Ken Griffey Jr. is left-handed, so I would get in the box and hit some balls left-handed. Well, my swing felt pretty good left-handed. I'd hit balls pretty good left-handed. So, like I said, once I got the slow pitch, I wasn't sure I could hit it all, so I figured I'd just hit it on the ground and beat it out left-handed to give me an extra step out of the box. It just took. I mean, I probably played my first 2 or 3 years where I might have hit 1 or 2 balls out of the field. Like I just had zero power at all.
So what was hitting with everybody? Your BP buddy that was playing the upper level and stuff. Was that kind of what helped you get a little bit of that pop? Because you can dink him out there now.
Yeah, it helped a little bit. My brother, my younger brother, was a power lifter at the time, and I was super little, man. I was, I'm 6 foot, but I was like 6 foot, maybe $155 when I stopped playing baseball.
Mm-hmm.
My brother was like, "You got to get in the gym, man. You got to work out, man." I'm like, "I got abs. Nobody cares about working out. Everybody, all the women want her abs,
Sure.
And my brother, being a power lifter, is like, "No, you're gonna start working out with me." So I started training with my brother, and honestly, went from like a January to like a May. I went from like 155 to 185. So I blew up pretty quick, and from there, that definitely helped with the power aspect of it because I put on a bunch of muscle,
Sure,
fast, and then from there, just kind of working on my swing. And and it's so crazy to say, but I feel like the older I've gotten, the less power I have. But I think it's from so many years of trying to hit the ball down so much that I don't have that launch angle, that I don't launch balls like that. Occasionally, yes, I will hit a ball that is just a tank and it's long and far and high and looks great.
Spent so much time. Almost like
for the most part, my ball is
kind
of just a line drive. My balls are just line drives. Like for me, I mean, primarily when I get in the box, I want to paint the left field line. I want to hit the left center field gap, or I'm trying to hit the right center field gap. I don't really think home run. Even when there's home runs to hit, I don't think home runs. I'm still thinking down, 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 down.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So, it's hard for me to make I remember like in my late 20s, I remember going out and swinging and just hitting absolute tanks, home run, like balls that like I wish I could hit them that far now. And I don't know, maybe it could have been a little bit to do with the technology. If I'm thinking right in my head, I was probably swinging like the OG Worth Green Mutant, or like the blue and yellow Jeff Hall Mutant.
Oh yeah, that was back in the day. There,
those are dynamite. You know what I mean?
So, that's about when I started playing. We had a couple of those old Mutants, man. We just go out and put 2,500 swings on one of those things and not even think twice about it. I remember when one of them finally broke, a buddy of mine sent me a picture. He was like, "Man, my bat broke. My brother hit too many off the end." And he sends me a picture, and it's cracked right in the middle of the barrel. And I was like, "Oh, that sucks." But looking back on it now, no, we just beat the piss out of that thing.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's you would think that my favorite bat of all time would be an Old Tech bat, but it's actually not.
What you got?
Man, I can go back and forth. Honestly, new stamp, which was what 2012, I think was the new stamp year.
I think 11 was the first year of them. Yeah,
Okay, all right.
I think.
My favorite bat is probably it's probably the Z2000, the OG Z2000, the gray and the green, the end
Ooh,
loader.
yeah, you couldn't go wrong with those.
When you got a good one, not a bad batch. When you got the good batch. Um, 2 years ago, that Travis Clark I swung that Easton was absolute dynamite.
Dude, yeah. There's still a couple guys I play with that swear by him, absolutely swear by him. They're getting harder and harder to come by, though. But, man, that OGZ's got to be up there, though. It's
Yeah, I mean
dude, those
they
things
were
were a
just
blast.
man, God, they were good, man. I had a 28 in one of them, and it was almost. I thought it was unfair. Like if I got that thing through the zone, it was just you were getting out of the way if you were on the infield.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine. He just a while back, he tried selling me a couple 30-ounce end loads, and man, if I knew I could swing them and be effective with them,
I'd take that thing in a heartbeat.
oh man,
I'd hit bombs with those.
yeah, I mean, you hit some bombs with it for sure.
That's probably all I could do with it. I probably couldn't do anything else.
See, and that's what I was kind of worried about. I was like, man, I could buy one of those and hit the piss out of the ball, really get a ball through the infield. But man, if control goes, man, they're going nowhere but out.
No doubt about it.
I ain't trying to be that guy.
No, I don't want to be that guy either, but still be cool to do.
Sure. So you were talking about the Louisville stuff like that. I guess I forgot to mention that earlier. I guess you are with the Louisville advisory staff now, correct?
Correct. Yes, I am. As of this year, this is my first year with them. Yep.
So what are you going to be gaming this year then? Out of all that stuff you swung so far, you've got what? You've got the Lloyd, you've got the Cuz. What? There's one other U-trip bat. There's the Z5.
There's a Z5. There's a Z5 power, or not power load, but an end load. So the end loaded one is orange, and then there's a Z5 balanced, which is like almost kind of like a highlighter yellow color look into it.
Okay.
I have not. The only one I have not had a chance to hit is the balanced. I am not a balanced fan. I have not swung a balanced bat probably for 15 years. I'm not saying that I wouldn't. Everything that I've heard and talked to people about is that the balanced Z5 is actually really, really, really good.
Really?
One of our other advisory staff members, Scott Stinson, who's in Florida, I talked to him the other day on the phone, and he said that his balanced Z5 is just bonkers. And he's a 50-year-old dude just hitting. I mean, he still plays under 50, and he murders it. So I trust his evaluation pretty highly. For me, I just cannot get away from swinging the Lloyd. It's just honestly, I feel like it's a perfect bat, man. It's got the right amount of end load. It's got the barrel's just the perfect size.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like it just does everything I want it to do in a bat, man. Like and I feel like it's one of those bats where whether you're a guy like me who's a line drive guy, or if you're a guy that's maybe a power hitter, whatever. You look at some of the power hitter guys, like Stephen Lloyd. I mean, he's a guy that
Yeah,
unlimited power.
Sure, you can put a broomstick in that guy's hand and he could hit it out of a stadium.
No doubt about it. But yeah, I really like the Lloyd, man. I feel like it's a little different than last year's. This one seems to be a little bit hotter, quick, which I'm fine with.
Sure,
that's fine. It's just less BP on it. But the Cuz has got a different sound. I feel like all the Louisville's got a little bit of a different sound this year. They're just it's not quite of that hollowness that you're kind of accustomed to from them.
Sure.
But the Cuz is good too, man. It's a bat that you don't really need a ton of BP. Like it's one that's like hot ready now. Like you get it and go.
Yeah, and that's it's actually the next review I'm getting to post is going to be the Cuz. You sent me the Cuz and the Lloyd. I've got the review just about knocked out of the Cuz, and I did enjoy it. Like it would, man, it's something about a Jeff Hall bat, man. Like he likes his end loads. But man, it's something about him just don't sit well with me sometimes. And like last year's Z, and even the year before, a little bit to an extent. It just, man, that end load, you can hit a ball a mile, but there's really like no in between with it. And I don't know if it's like, the Louisville's kind of got a bigger taper on them. So I don't know if maybe that kind of like, adds to that weight of that inload a little bit. I don't know, but this cuz it feels really good. It's got kind of a different connection to it. It's not a Z. It's not a Z1000 this year. I guess
Yeah, it's a three-piece bat
Mm-hmm.
this year with that. It's I think the specs are supposed to be a 12-inch barrel. I think all of our bats are probably closer to maybe 13. Although I feel like I swung a 12-inch forever. Like that's all I've ever done.
Yeah.
12, 12, 12. Like, hey, just give me a 12. I don't care what it is. I want a 12-inch barrel, whether it be Freak 12, whether it be the Freak 30, any of those.
Sure.
And then I was at a tournament last year in Chicago. I was at the major in Chicago, and I just happened to run across Dennis Turner, DT, who's the head of Louisville Slugger Slow Pitch, who I've known for years from I used to help him and Wayne do some testing stuff for Worth and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he was asking me what I was swinging. And at the time, I was gaming the 2018 or 19 Brungart,
Okay.
the DeMarini.
Yeah.
The black and red one or whatever. And
Oof.
it was good, man. I liked
Yeah.
it a lot. But I was running into durability issues. It probably could have been the fact that Orlando was swinging my bat in BP too. He said, "Hey, you giving Louisville a shot?" And I'm like, "Yeah, not really." I was honest with him. I was upfront. I said, I'm not a big time guy, so I got to buy my own bats. So I kind of looked for deals, and at the time, I got those DeMarinis on like eBay from SPC Sports for like $80 a pop. Where they return. I'm like, dude, this is a steal, man.
Yeah. How do you say no to that?
And he said, you know what? Like when we get back into town, because DT's here in St. Louis too. He said, hey, get back with me, and I'll send you out some demos to swing. And I was like, all right, cool. DT's probably him and Corny with DeMarini are the two of the greatest guys in the game. But he sent me out a Z5, the black and purple, which is kind of like a mid-load. And then he sent me a Lloyd. And, man, that first swing with the Lloyd, I was in love with it. Like, it was just absolutely – I couldn't believe how good it was, honestly. It was so good.
And that's like you said, that's what I enjoy about it too. Like for the power guys that want to hit a ball a mile, you can do it with that bat. You need to dial it back and do a little bit of control. You can do it with the same bat. It's just everything just clicks with that thing. And you're talking about swinging 12-inch barrels for years. What they don't list specifically a barrel size, but I do feel like it swings close enough to a 12-inch. I consider it a 12-inch, whether it's bigger or not. Like it's got that control of a short barrel. You still drive the hell out of a ball. You can miss with it. You can miss with it too and and still get a little bit of ass behind it. It just everything about that bat just clicked with me, and I had no hesitation putting that at number one. I'm sure I probably caught some people off guard with that, but man, it's just so hard to put those things down.
No, it's a lot of fun to hit, man. I love that.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's kind of hard for me talking to DT this year. It's kind of hard for me to get rid of the blue and gray Lloyd to swing the green one this year. But it's like, I get it. It's new tech. I need to showcase the new bats. You know what I mean? So
sure.
I'm fine with it. But
yeah, in the little bit of swings that I've put on that thing indoors, I feel like it's gonna be just as good as that blue one for sure.
Like I said, I think the green one is a little bit hotter, faster. Which, like I said, that's kind of what people are into these days. You know what I mean? But
sometimes it's just that way.
Yeah, and then like I said, we got the Genesis coming out in I think April is the supposed to be the release for that. And everything I've heard on that is that it's just a freaking lightning rod.
I'm really looking forward to swinging that thing. I love the Sonic Plus back in the day. So I'm now that I've seen that was it Andy Purcell came over to Louisville, and
Yes.
the Genesis is from what I gather going to be kind of his signature bat. Man, I cannot wait to swing one of those things.
Yeah, I don't think it's. I think so that Genesis is an autism bat for us. It's an Autism Speaks bat, so they're going to donate money to autism as well
Awesome.
for that.
Love it.
And I don't think it's got Andy's name on it. I know Andy's gonna swing that bat exclusively. But I mean, he's the biggest game changer in the game. I mean, when you talk, for me, anyways, I probably ruffle people's feathers, but Tom Brady's the GOAT in football for me. I'm a Michigan guy, so Tom Brady's the guy and Jordan's the guy in basketball. Andy Purcell's the GOAT in slow pitch softball, man. There's no doubt about it. I mean, He just absolutely changes the game when
You,
he's in there.
you're not the first that plays at that level that I've heard say that. So, I mean, you just personally say that, not things you read on the internet or whatever else, but just the way you can change a game is just unreal.
Well, he's a super competitor, man. He doesn't want, so he can rub people the wrong way sometimes with the attitude. But he's a guy that you want on your team, and when you're playing against him, you hate him. You know, I mean, not to toot my own horn, but I've never made an out against Andy Purcell. I think I'm 4 for 4 with 2 walks and 2 little duck snorts over Junior's head at short.
Beat him with a little bit of his own medicine with that one, huh?
Oh, I remember the one time, we were in, I think we were in Cincinnati, and he threw a ball that was middle in on me, and it was nasty. Everything he throws is nasty. And I inside outed it and flipped it through the 6 hole. And I remember him looking at Junior and just being like, "What the?" And Junior looked. I was on second. Junior looked at me and he goes, "Really? That's what you're going to do with that pitch?" I'm like, "Hey, it worked, didn't it?"
You're
You know
right.
what I mean? Like, whatever, man.
That's funny.
Oh well.
Yeah, he's not one to say anything. I've seen him. It's kind of funny, especially watching him play in like the stadiums and stuff. Man, he was so good at taking whatever pitch you threw him, and I'm just like talking, just flick a duck fart into right field and just be standing on second base where the ball even comes down.
Yep. No doubt about it.
He absolutely mastered it. It was kind of funny. He hit one time, and I think it was Don Cooper was commentating the game. We just kind of chuckled and because I think whoever he was with in the booth, I can't remember, just kind of made. It was kind of trying to make some humor out of the fact that he just, hit a duck fart over there. And Coop said, believe it or not, he said he practices that swing and he's really good at it.
Yep, no doubt. I mean, I work on it all the time in BP. I work on that ball that I hit just over the top of the third baseman's head. I mean, that's a double all day for me, man.
Sure.
I'll take that all day.
And maybe it's kind of one of those things too. You talk about what kind of gets you to that level. Maybe some advice for people listening, like what kind of helped take you to that next level. Maybe it wasn't so much how hard you could hit a ball, but more where you could put it, right?
Yeah, I've always been a placement guy. I got lucky to get to that level. I had a great sponsor, the guy that befriended me, Jason Wilkins. But I think I could have. The problem is here in St. Louis, it's kind of few and far between as far as upper level teams. But to get to that level, for me, it was more of the mentality of I'm one of those people, I don't like being told that I can't do something.
Sure.
So, I'm going to prove you wrong if you tell me that. So, yeah, man, just you got to work at it. And the thing that you got to do, I feel like the thing that separates some of the lower level guys from the higher level guys is, you do stuff in BP, whether you work on, like for me, my backside swing is my best swing. So I work on that in BP. And then in a game, I'm primarily, not to tell all the teams that play against me, but I'm primarily going to try to go backside on you.
Sure.
People get themselves in trouble when they do stuff in BP and then they go to a game and try to do something new. Something that they're not familiar with, something that their body doesn't have the mental memory of doing.
Right.
It's Orlando's good for that. Bowman here that's sitting by me is good for that. Try to flip a little duck snort over the first baseman's head or something that
Sure.
we don't do in BP. I mean, we might, but we do it like once or twice. But it's stick what you know, do what you do best. If your best swing is a hard ball to left center and it may go out, 30% of the time, so be it. Stick with it.
Sure. Stick
Don't
to your
try
guns.
to do something you can't do. Yeah, 100%. And that'll get you looks from other teams. And I'm a firm believer in playing the game the right way, and trying to do the right thing. So like me, I've looked stupid over the years trying to do the right thing. I hit behind John Williams for a full year in 2015, and John Williams averages a home run like every third at bat. So
guy hits the crap out of the ball.
Right, absolutely. Well, he would just hit home runs in front of me all day long, and which is fine. I don't care, especially if we're winning. It doesn't matter to me. And I'd have to come up and pick out a hole. Well, sometimes you try to force something, and it's a ugly looking swing when you're trying to play the game the right way. But
Sure, whether it
You
be
know,
hit
for
behind a
me,
runner, stuff like that, right?
yeah, absolutely. But I mean, I felt like, coaches and people that watch the game and know the game, they see you doing that, and I feel like that's an admirable quality about somebody that's not a selfish person. I mean, I could have came up and tried to hit a bomb. We probably got 12 to 16 to hit in games. I mean, I'll go ahead and hit me a solo. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure, why not, right?
Right.
But yeah, see, and that's one thing too. I hit with Kevin Bays out a little bit. Resmondo's middleman. And everybody kind of ribs on him. You get on like Old Scout and in places like that. People kind of rib on the kind of hitter that he is. I mean, he can stand there and hit a ball. I've hit with him enough. I mean, he can stand there and hit home runs just like everybody else. But even in BP, like he takes like those non-selfish swings, just trying to roll balls over the infield and stuff like that. Like he doesn't get the credit for, like you said, giving himself up, maybe taking a bad swing because he doesn't want to hit that wasteful home run or he doesn't want to hit into that double play. I think that's something that does go, maybe unnoticed a little bit, especially if you don't have like that knowledge for the game and understand like why he's doing those things like that. Like you said, somebody that's good, you're good at looking at that stuff. We'll see. Hey, this guy's giving himself up for that swing. It's not what the hell was that?
No doubt. I mean, Kevin is. He's a great player. He's a good human being. He's a good dude. There's a reason that he's been on Helmer's teams for the last 10 years. It's because Helmer is a smart enough guy that he realizes that he does the right thing, like you're saying. All those guys at that level, you figure top 5-6 teams in the country. You figure those are the top 60 to 70 guys in this sport on those teams.
Sure.
Every one of those guys can probably hit a bomb whenever they, don't get me wrong, when you're playing the top competition, it's a lot harder.
Sure.
But, in those conference events, if you're Resmondo Friday night, you draw the D team out of St. Louis. Well, you could go up there and hit as many home runs as you want, but some dudes are going to have to hit it down or it's, I don't know. Playing the game the right way is a way to get seen, I think, personally.
Sure. I absolutely agree. Whether it be, offense or defense, even for that matter, whether it be making the right play on defense, maybe not throwing a ball sometimes. You see some of these guys playing, it's not like I'm upper level or nothing. Hell, I'm playing D-ball, but you just see some of the guys in D-ball that could be playing at a higher level that just want to show off, sling the ball around, throw the ball around just because they can. But, you're trying to throw somebody out that's 5 steps from a bag. Like stuff like that is not going to get you anywhere. Right. So, people see you doing that, they're just going to say, this guy's a clown. He's got a hose, but he's throwing the ball away every other throw.
Sure.
So I don't know. That is good advice. Play the game the right way and know your situations.
Oh yeah, no, I mean that is huge. I always get upset at people that hit balls up the middle with a guy on first. It's like that's the first thing I learned, man. Like stay out of the middle with a guy on first. It is a double play waiting to happen.
Sure.
So for me, if there's a guy on first, I'm probably 10 years ago, I was trying to melt my own player on first just for shits and giggles, but now I'm probably going to try to flip it, somewhere over the shortstop's head or over third baseman's head.
Sure.
That's a thing, I learned from KP was you should be able to hit every pitch any way you want it. So work on in BP, have somebody throw you in where your pitches are in on you, but you're still going the other way with them.
Yeah.
It's he was a big proponent of that all the time, like telling me to work on that and do. And it was weird for me because don't get me wrong, he's a great player, much younger than I am, so it was always weird for me to take advice from a guy who was that much younger than me.
Some people just get it, man.
Yeah, no doubt.
So it's kind of one thing too. Don't get me wrong, the guy hits obviously one of the hardest hitters in the conference. Maybe of all time even. It just the balls that he hits are just unreal, but you don't realize just how good of a hitter he is. What year was that? Was that 2 years ago when he had that pulled oblique and he went out there and hit his ass off? I mean, he absolutely hit his ass off. Just poking a ball around, hitting holes and stuff like that. Like he can still do that stuff. All people think of when they think of Kyle Pearson as a guy hitting a ball, 500 feet that gets out there in 3 seconds, not realizing, the guy hit fucking 800 with a bad oblique, just like half swinging at balls. He still hit the home runs when he needed to. I think he only had like maybe 1 or 2 home runs on the tournament. But the fact that he was able to go out there and get it done really kind of puts in perspective like the dedication that some of these guys have to being better and doing different things other than what you may associate them with.
Yeah, if I played against him, the place I would be the most scared on the field is first and second base. Seriously. I mean, I think he hits the ball. He hits the ball harder to right center and to first than he does pull.
And that's a scary thought.
Or the other worst place to be is anywhere in the middle of the field, because I was on second base quite a bit when that dude used to come up, and it's the only guy I've ever played with or against that I was scared to be on the base path. Because honestly, I felt like if he hit it at me on the base path, I couldn't get out of the way, and I don't have a glove on.
Sure, yeah, you ain't got nothing. Jump out of the way.
I almost felt like I needed a helmet to run the bases when he was up.
Oh man, that's great. I'd be right there with you if I was in those shoes.
I feel bad. I honestly, I used to say that too. I'm like, I never played where I actually felt bad for infielders when a guy was up, and I used to feel bad for people. So I always thought somebody was going to get seriously hurt when he was at the plate.
Yeah, and not not by choice. Not like he's going out there to look and do it. Just
no,
man, you get through a ball hard like that, it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I mean, his exit speed he lets the ball get so freaking deep. He's got such good leverage. I mean, he's 6'4", 265, 270 pounds, so that helps,
Yeah, absolutely.
Swinging heavy bats. He swings a 28-ounce bat, so he always had the heaviest bats too. Guy's bats are so heavy.
Sure, you got that country strong too,
Yeah, he's a Louisiana boy, so yeah,
right.
He's country strong.
Right. Well, listen, man, I know you got to be up early doing that work.
You're good. Thing. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, you're good. I mean, the only thing I would say to you that we haven't really talked about, up and coming guys, man.
Yeah.
Like watching guys. Obviously, I think my guy Orlando can figure it out if he can figure the strike zone out and not be such a wooden head. He's got a chance to play at a high level. Obviously, I think highly of my guy Bowman, even though he's turd sometimes. He's played at a high level. He's played A. He played with Pure 1 year. He's been with Vivid. I watched him go like 17 for 19 at the Smoky with like 14 home runs in front of me.
Lord.
With 35 RBIs, like right in front of me too. Just go ahead and flicking them out, which it's unlimited, so I shouldn't feel bad about him hitting bombs in front of me. But
it's hard. It's a tough act to follow.
He's trying to take all my RBIs. He's taking all my RBIs, man. He didn't want me to have any RBIs. I think I probably had like 6 RBIs that weekend because he just kept blowing he probably hit at least 3 or 4 grand slams in front of me.
Oh, what a teammate, right?
Dude, there was like he was like the third highest guy in that tournament in RBIs. He had like 35 RBIs. The only guys higher than him were like Pearson and Harvey, and they played like 7 games, and we played 4. I mean, it was unreal.
Right. That's
one
funny.
of the guys that I just played with, got to know last year a little bit, and then played against last year, and then played with a little bit this year. Billy Wright, who's going to be with Pure this year. I don't know where he's going to be in the field. I think he can play all over. Yeah, I've seen him play. I've seen him play short. I've seen him play middle. I think I've seen him in the outfield a few times. You talk about a guy that just competes and is just a hard-nosed guy, man. And honestly, if you looked at him, you'd be like, "Oh, this guy's nothing. This dude's got legit power, like big-time power." Like, it's crazy. And he does the right thing on the field too. He goes backside when he needs to go backside. And
Sure.
He hits home runs when he wants to hit home runs. I mean, he walked off Pure last year at the Chicago Major when he was with Evolution. He walked him off with a home run off of Mooch, and it was an absolute tank too. And he got picked up by Pure the following week.
Yeah, easy to make an impression on something like that, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so he's a stud, man. He's a good dude too. So I got no doubt he'll be at the highest level for a long time. He's a young kid too, so
we'll have to keep an eye out for him this year, and then watching this conference stuff.
Oh yeah, you got to keep an eye out for him. So he's a stud, man.
Well, we'll see if we can get out next time we go hit. See if we can get Bowman and the Cuban Missile out there with us.
Yeah, we'll try to get Bowman and the Cuban Missile out for BP next time. Although hopefully hopefully it's above like 70 degrees. If not, Orlando's going to be swinging the Synergy 2 or some sort of a corn dog or something that's not going to break, man.
Yeah,
'Cause
I got a
this
couple
dude,
single walls in the garage we can hook him up with.
I just never seen a guy break bats like that. I mean, honestly, over the last 2 to 3 years, he's probably broken of mine and Justin's bats. It's probably upwards of like 12. And he
Golly.
thinks he thinks it's like he just thinks it's like the normal. Like this is how it works. Like bats just break and then you get new ones.
Man,
Like there's a
what's that like?
I've got
I
a
wonder
machine.
what
I got a
that's like.
machine in my. I got a machine in my house that manufactures these bats, and he just takes as many as he wants.
Sure.
And that's the thing. He'll break one in the middle of BP, like taking swings in the middle of a round, and he just picks up another one, like it's an afterthought. You know what I mean?
Golly,
So,
that's.
I love him to death, and the problem is he squares everything up so bad that he's compressing the barrel on every ball that he hits.
Sure.
I mean, everything. It's nuts. So.
See, that's one thing too. Like I noticed that watching him hit was, man, he just does not miss the ball. I think that's something else that really helps. Guys at that conference level, you may see some guys that's like, oh, he don't hit the ball that hard. What's he doing up there? And then you realize the guy just never misses. He hit 900 on the weekend.
Right. That's the thing I think that made makes Cannell so good. He just doesn't miss. And he hits bad balls. He's a guy that never walks hardly. He might have 15 walks every year and hits close to 800 because he can just hit any pitch. It's crazy.
Yeah, that is wild. I know, man, who was it? You were telling me, oh gosh, who was it? Was it John Williams? Who was it? Somebody that only took like 1 or 2 walks all year long and hit over 700.
No, that was oh God, what was that guy's name? I think it was Frank Yielding or
Frank Yielding,
guy for combat. God, it's probably been 3-4 years ago. Hit like 785 and took 1 walk or something, or no walk.
I remember that is absurd. I got lucky enough to show up at a ball field. We just, I guess, happened to be in the same area. Like I was living down south, working down there. I just showed up at a ball field to hit one day, the one we always hit at. There's a guy out there. Like I noticed, man, this guy's just hitting fucking scuds. I mean, it's like one after another. And you get to talking with him a little bit, and he's like, oh, yeah. He's like, I play with this team or that team. And I was kind of like, oh, cool, whatever. Because how many people do you hear say that? And, they may, they're digging splinters out of their ass. Do you really play with that team or not? But,
right.
No, I looked him up, and, he's on the team. And man, like, watching him play in some of those conference events afterwards, man, he hits the crap out of the ball. And to hit for that on-base percentage, you can't even say average because it's the same damn thing. To put up that number and only walk 1 time is just insane.
Well, he was one of those guys. If you looked at him, he looks like he had his diet consisted of spaghetti and meatballs and small kids. I mean, he was just like. He was so big, dude.
Yeah,
so
I mean, it was funny you mentioned that because we show up and this dude's out there with his shirt off. This first thing I saw, we pull up and this dude's out there with his shirt off. I'm thinking like, man, who's this fucking meathead out here? Like just trying to get some sun and flex on somebody, and then seeing him hit some of them balls and getting a little closer. I was like, man, this guy is a monster. I mean, fucking hit, fucking pecs and traps, and I mean, like he didn't have he just had like, his stomach was just like one big ab. I was like, good God. Guy's built like a brick shit house.
Yeah, that's just astonishing to me with the stat like that. Part of me is that's a selfish player, that he kind of cared more about his stats than everybody else. Just because, you should be able to take a walk. Come on.
Sure.
I've played in games where guys threw. At B World, I had a walk at B World in the top of the 7th or something, where we needed guys on, and the guys threw 2 balls in the freaking right side batter's box. Like they're unfreaking hittable. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you almost got to just be just willing to hit anything, which to me is crazy. But
if you're grooving, you're grooving, I guess, right?
I guess, man. I don't know. That's not my thing, but.
All right, listen, man. We'll let you go. Been an hour and 20 in. I didn't realize we were an hour and 20 minutes in until I just looked down. But I appreciate you coming in, stopping out for the podcast. We did plenty of talking, got plenty more to do, so maybe we'll have you back sometime soon.
Anytime, bud. You know that.
Get our guy Justin in here too. I didn't realize he was sitting there next to you. We could have easily drug him in on the conversation.
Yeah, he ain't doing nothing. He's probably surfing the net looking for bats for Orlando to break.
Sounds like that's what you're both doing.
Pretty much.
Well, listen, man, I appreciate it. That's going to be it for the BP Hero Podcast. And until then, be sure to hit that subscribe button, like the video, share it around, and I'll catch you guys next time.